Welcome. I'm Debbie Weissman. I teach high school computer science. Um, I'm a learner as well as a teacher, and I'm here to share with you an approach to AI, and also give you something tangible that you can share with others. So this was created in conjunction with Emily Tomford, who you just met with the keynote speech. We're going to talk about how does a computer create text in the style of. See if this goes. Okay, wait, back. So playing with Chat GPT just 2 days ago, please write a new song in the style of Ariana Grande. And of course, it came back with a very nice set of lyrics that would be similar to or close enough to feel like an Ariana Grande song. And so we're going to get at that. That's what we're going to try and get to. Like, how does that happen? What's going on? And how can we build a model so we can understand that better? I did this entire presentation with my high school students yesterday, and they said, "Oh my goodness, did the teacher just rickroll us?" They were so aghast. And I was like, yes, we have rickrolled you on this presentation, but we're going to use the data that comes from Rick Astley, and we're going to use the Never Gonna Give You Up. And on this slide that you now have a copy of, it will give you a link to the lyrics, not the one we just saw that was rickrolled, that you have to go back to the slide before, the lyrics, as well as the Unigram model. So if you want to play, if you're the type of person who's, I want to play while you're teaching, while you're talking, I meant to say, click on this and you can play with the Unigram model while I am talking. And I encourage all my learners to play while I talk, to investigate for themselves, and then in the chat, tell me what you discover. So this isn't just a sit back and listen to me. So here's 6 lines of lyrics. It's our corpus text or our training data. It's in a Unigram language model. It means that we are just we put all the words from the 6 lines in one list. And I couldn't make the index numbers underneath and the list. It was pushing Google Slides beyond what they wanted to do. So my index numbers, as you can see, are just to the left of the string. And so I'm going to say, let's create our own right now Unigram model, and everybody put a random number into the chat. And at the same time, I'm going to try and find that random number as you do it. Where's chat? Right now, everybody do a random number in the chat. So here's our model. Here, we just did it right now, exactly what the Unigram model does. I see starting with 6. Never run, never, you, never, gonna. Fair enough, Alex. So does it sound like what we're looking for the lyrics, or does it sound silly? Sounds a little silly. This is how the model works. And hopefully when we go here, when I ran the Unigram model, the one I gave to you a few slides ago, I also got really silly lyrics. Gonna give you let down, make tell, but all the model does is exactly what we did. Just take a random index from our list and 7 words, 8 words, put them together, and is this close? And so I will now say to you, is this close? Ours didn't seem very close when the P5JS did it. Did we get any closer? What do you think we need to do to get closer? We need context. And so as we explore how would a computer create in the style of, We need to get context, which means it can't be just random probability. And the context that we can use right now is a bigram model. It means take one word and then what are the choices for the next word only. So you can't get the random of the first word of never and then followed by up, or gonna followed by you, or even gonna followed by never. So in this bigram model, we're gonna use the data, but we're gonna use the context of the previous word to tell us what the next word is. Again, you have these slides. Move to the bigram model on your side, pull it up, feel free to play with it. And by the way, when you run it once, if you click on the canvas, you'll get different colored borders and you'll get a new set of model results. So instead, if you didn't want to just keep clicking the run button, you could click on the canvas itself. And I'm going to show you what that looks like as a bigram model. When you have one piece of data of one sentence, the arrows just go in one direction. It's going to look exactly the same every time. If you have two sentences, you get a stronger arrow between never and gonna, because that's the only way you can go. But you're going to have a choice at gonna, and they're both going to flow back to you. And you're going to have a choice after you. Can you see what's happening with this model? How the context of the previous word forces what the next word will be to get closer to in the style of, which is what we saw with the Ariana Grande lyrics, and what we're trying to get closer with our Rick Astley lyrics. Is this too slow, too fast, speed up, not fun, more fun? What do we need? Are we good? Okay, so now we have two sentences to play with. What if we had three? So our modeling of three is never to gonna. Gonna now has three choices: give, let, and run. Depending on where you go, it's got another set of choices. What happens with all 6 of our training data sentences? So with all 6 of our training data sentences, you can see we've got from never to gonna is our strongest, because that every time, that's the context that never will push to gonna. And from gonna, now we have 6 choices. And within those 6 choices, we have specific places that the next word can be based on the context of that previous word to get through the end of our training data. One way to look at it, because computers can't read circles and arrows, is a spreadsheet. And another way to look at it is a list of lists, or your double array. And I ask you now, do we have any other data structures we might be able to use if this is where you are in your teaching with your students? Like, besides this just straight up 2D array, what could we do? Put it in the chat. So one of the ideas is we could make this a linked list if your students are using linked lists. And another idea is we could even do a doubly linked list. If you had a doubly linked list, you could then have some adversarial positioning going on, where you, with a doubly linked list, you could go up from the bottom and say, does this make sense or not make sense? If you're going from the top, right, is this flowing in the right direction? So you have this 2D array, you can have the linked list, you have a doubly linked list. So you can take this with your students and go as deep as you want to as you move forward. And then when I did the bigram, which I hope you all are playing with the bigram, do these lines feel closer or less close than the unigram? Closer. So I ask you, what would we need to make it even closer? You might want more words in context. So we started with 1, and then we went to 2. But what if you had 3 or 4, or to get really close to ChatGPT, their data set is of the millions, and then they can build in context as deep as they want. Does that make sense? So the more context you give of what is the next word could it possibly be, the closer you get to in the style of. And then I want you to try it for yourself with a song that you have, so you can quickly like Google lyrics from a song, anything. You can do the unigram model. If you click on the circle next to unigram, it'll come right up to the unigram model that Emily made. If you click to bigram, you're gonna get the bigram model. Either one, your turn. I want you to play with the training data. And then what I'm hoping you'll do is you'll put the 6 lines or 5 lines that you get, actually 4 lines. I think she has it for 4. You put the 4 lines you have. I hope you put them in the chat with us. So I'm hoping to see in the chat other people playing with a song and seeing how it comes out and how closely we can get to in the style of using the unigram and the bigram model. I'm really hoping with. In the meantime, I'll show you where I did. Are you ready? I want to dance with someone. And what this meant is I had to Google what song is most like Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up, in order for Google to send me back, of many, many songs, try the Whitney Houston I Want to Dance with Someone. So this is the one I used. And if you want this that I used, you can see Debbie Weissman. You can click this slide and get my version, and it's going to have a corpus text and then a corpus text W. And the corpus text W will let you try with Whitney Houston. And if you're going to do it for yourself or with your students, what you would do is when you are in the sketch itself, you will find the line that says either corpus.txt or corpuswhitney.txt, and you will peel that out. You will first create a new file, and you will title it your artist of choice.txt, and then you will peel out in Sketch the name of the corpus text or the Whitney text, and you will put in your corpus text, and it should be able to do the same thing.
Hi everyone, Emily here. The recording for Debbie's Zoom session got kind of messed up, so I am here to replace the demo that illustrates how to add your own training text as a corpus into the P5JS project. So the first thing you're going to do is just follow the directions written in comments at the top. You're going to click the tiny little arrow above, so it's right underneath the play button, and that will open a tray that has the files in your sketch. And if you are not signed in with an account, you can still do this. You just need to click on corpus.txt. And here you'll see these are the Rick Astley lyrics that, give me a random selection of those, but I don't want that anymore. What I want is to get maybe a different song that I like. So I'm going to go and copy that off the internet, and you can just paste it in here instead. So now I'm going to press play, and it's going to use my new lyrics. Now, one thing you might look at is that in normal human use, we attach the punctuation onto the word before, but you might find different results if you put a space there. So this is called pre-processing. So if you pre-process your corpus to kind of space out where the punctuation is, you might find that you like the results better. But you might not, so that's something you can play with.
How many lines do you want? You could change this to 2 or 6, however many you want. And when you're with your students, so we're at the end of the year, right? Everybody's taking their AP tests or whatnot. And if you wanted to use this as a review, which I did as well, you make this into a user input at line 9. And at that point, you've got every basic data structure, every basic foundational coding concept for your students as a review. So I like that also. Once, if you just turn this into the user input, you've got your for loop, your while loop, right? You've got your function, your return. Anyway, so, but in this case, we can hard code how many lines you want to show up. And it should. Is that helpful? Did we get that? And thank you so much, April, for watching over me. I definitely need it. So ethics of AI text, you saw that the 5 principles that Emily provided. Ethics being one of them. Let me go here. So in the slides you have links to more information. You have links to other articles, but an article came out where Drake plus Weeknd, right? Somebody took their corpus of music and pushed it to create a new song and put it on Spotify, and it went viral, right? And then Drake plus Weeknd said, take it down immediately, and Spotify did. And then you have Grimes, who right after that comes on and says, take my corpus and make whatever you want. So here are 2 cases of one artist saying, you took my music and you used AI to create music I didn't create. And another saying, please use AI to create music. And then, like right now, what are the ethics behind this? And what other edge cases are there for this? Can we put them in the chat? I definitely don't have the answers, but I have questions like, what if the artist is dead? What if the music's already in public domain? What if it's educational use? Like, what are the other edge cases we can think about? Copyright, right. What's right and what's wrong here? What are we allowed to do and not allowed to do? Right. Let's talk about credit. Should the artist get credit? Who gets credit? What if it makes money? Who gets the money? Can AI be inspired? Maybe it can. Has this AI been inspired by the data? I mean, as our little model that isn't AI, it's just a model of what happens in terms of context and watching context go. That is inspired by the word behind it to create the next word, right? What are the rules here? And can it detect plagiarism? That's really interesting. The keynote by, I think, Gail, or maybe Emily, one of them said that, no, I think it was Gail, who said the Princeton student has created Chat Zero to detect the plagiarism of it, and Turnitin is also working on that. Oh, April, feel free to do that right here and put it in the chat for us. What would ChatGPT say the rules are about this? And I'll say that in the work of artists, I'm going to move to what's your take. In the work of artists, what we've seen come out of this is some artists feeling like they allowed like Getty Images to have their art, but they never meant for anyone to make money off their art. And then the DALL-E used Getty Images for the training. And so you have artists that are really upset having their art being training data and then being used in ChatGPT and then changed and all these, and other people now using their art as a basis of making money that the artist never got. And then the other place I could say we could move to it, if not art, is there's a strike in Los Angeles right now, the writer's strike. And that in part is over ChatGPT. Writers are really scared because ChatGPT can create sitcom shows or other kinds of shows or police detective shows in the style of where the writer, it was their show, it was their writing, it was their base training data. So where's that gonna go? So with your students, if you want to talk about this, you can talk about in music, you can talk about what we've seen in the world of art, because that's been playing out for a year or two now. You can see it with what's happening with the writer's strike. And, you know, my question to you, and perhaps your question to the student, is coming back to this at the end, how does a computer create new text in the style of? Do you feel like we answered that question here? And can anybody put it in the chat or take a microphone on how we did that? Oh, wow. Thank you. That's awesome. So April gave us ChatGPT's answer, right? And then my other question, which is really interesting right now, is how might we build in ethical uses of this computer created content? So we heard from one keynote speaker one way to build in ethical uses. But anybody read about the fact that they're doing a huge hackathon? And in this hackathon, they're bringing all these people together to try and hack ChatGPT and other current AI platforms that are out there to see if they can break them and to see where the holes are as a way to reinforce them. But right now, a hackathon is being planned where people are being invited to come together to try and make ChatGPT break its own rules on ethics, to break its own rules on content, to like how far they can stretch it and break it in ways that it was designed right now to have safety, like in the bowling lane, to have those guardrails up. Has anybody heard about that? It's happening, like it was just put together. I read about it today. Yeah. So I feel like right now, how might we build in the ethical uses of computer created text? It's happening right in front of us. So with my students, I always, anybody reading the paper lately? Is anybody seeing what's happening here? And I try to guide them to these news ideas, news articles, and have them talk about what is this going to mean, and hope they're not the one to say, "Oh, I'm the one who's totally going to break this." But they probably will one day. And now I'm reading. Who gave us this? Angela again. I got this. There's another one.
Yeah, I had typed in the shortened version of okay, they should say, oh look, it even read through my typo. What are some ethical uses for ChatGPT? And there we go.
Fantastic. Okay, so credits, but I need to share with you, hold on. Wait, let me get here in the chat. Please, please, please. Feedback for me, feedback for Day of AI. Always glad to hear how I could have done this better or what went really well today in this breakout session. And also Emily wants, the entire team that Emily leads is really interested in this feedback from you so we can all do it better. And again, my hope was that I could provide for you a lesson plan, a lesson, run through it, have you be in the position of the student. I'm in the position of the guide. You know how it feels to be on the other side of this lesson plan. And then for you to make it your own.